and they have transferable skills, and they have lived through, horrors in the depths of addiction. It's almost an unlivable circumstance. So if someone is able to come through to the other side of that, there is, as far as I'm concerned, no limit as to what they can do.
Well, Karen, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, and also this suggestion from the BC Centre on Substance Use, suggesting that therapeutic communities, that they could be potentially more effective in terms of approaching addiction treatment. So this is based on data that they collected from correctional facilities. What do you think of this concept of therapeutic communities on that approach?
I think that's the point at which this report I lost me in a sense. It's a therapeutic community. It is described in this report as again, it's a continuum and wraparound care, which sounds fairly positive. However, what they've described here is a institutional model based on on corrections, on a prison, that is both so it's a residential treatment that is, it's housing, it's everything all embedded in one. It describes taking people out of their communities, people who have, I'm just going to quote, more severe addictions, who have been unsuccessful, individuals with polysubstance use, which is very common in the downtown east side, concurrent psychiatric disorders, individuals with minimal social supports, and in an unstable environment or in a social environment that does not support recovery. That's the downtown east side. That's me and my neighbors. And that's exactly the opposite of what is so good about this report. What I find positive is that it does talk about dignity and choice, and it recognizes that so much of why people are dying right now in an overdose crisis is actually a crisis of not being considered human enough to be able to make those choices, to be not human enough to live in society, who need, in order for them to be treated, need to be removed, like this describes.
So the therapeutic community means as some form of institutionalization?
It seems to be implying that here, and that's right, certainly raised a very significant red flag for me, and that's exactly why people are discounted from having agency and dignity and humanity, and that's why apparently, 4,000 Canadians can die in 1 year, and it mean nothing to our political leaders. This is exactly the problem, and it's so contradictory to the overall positive message in this report. And I feel it's indicative of so much.
Itself.
And finally, to you, Karen, your thoughts on solutions that still have not been explored and should be.
I think that I want to thank Jerry for that point. I mean, it is about not just recovering as an individual. It needs to be a society-wide shift. Saying that it doesn't affect you personally is part of the problem. This affects us all because we're all in this together. That being said, I think what people need the most at this point are first of all, options. Like I say, the dignity to make one's own choices, to be able to actually see a future, all manner of futures for oneself. And in doing so, we have so much to repair. I mean, and among the very basics, it's income, housing, and friends. It's very simple.
Well, that's a good way to sort of punctuate the conversation. Karen, Jerry, thank you both very much.
Thank you, Gloria.